Thank you for your interest in our Speaker Success Done For You customized marketing packages, where with your story, your company, your business, I'm going to help you amplify that as a speaker. So let's start with, what is your end goal? Once we understand what your end goal is, then we reverse engineer that and we build out a website specifically to you as a speaker. So first of all, why is it so powerful to be a global speaker? Warren Buffett, one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world, has said this repeatedly, that one of the most important skills to learn in life, especially in business, is public speaking. He said it will last us 50 or 60 years. I'm going to call out Uncle Warren and say, you know what? He lied, because he is 90 plus years old. So he started public speaking when he was 20, took a class. And so it lasted him 70 years, not 50 or 60 years. So when you are able to master public speaking, you'll be so much more confident, so much more clear, and so much courageous in whatever you do, but especially in your business. So speaking is also a great platform to share clients, a great platform to share your message. Many of our clients that are in the private Done For You, they've already made their money. They really want to impact the world. It's also a great way for your clients to come to you. What I mean by that is, the first picture you saw in the beginning slide deck, that was a speech where I gave across 12,000 people during a 4-day conference. So imagine you're in that conference, whether it's 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people. You're either the person lost in the crowd, you're the person on the stage, which that's why I call it next level networking, where your clients come to you. It's always about building first-class credibility, where it's assumed that if you're on stage, you have instant credibility. And when you're a speaker, it is literally one of the highest billable hours, where aside from famous celebrities, if you're billing out at $10,000 for an hour, that's $40,000. That's actually $8,000 to $80,000 for a day, or $400,000 for the week, or $20 million a year. That's a hedge fund money. But what I'm getting at is, it's the highest impact. I mean, when I first worked at American Express in New York City and Wall Street, and that was a salary position. And then I became a consultant, and that's good. But when you're a keynote speaker, whatever you're doing, whether you're a coach or consultant, everything goes higher once you brand yourself as a global speaker. Lastly, you have unique life experiences. I would have never imagined that a kid growing up in Woodside, Queens, where I had no money, no access, no connections. My dad's a former social worker. My mom's a former teacher. And I was punished in school for talking too much in class. I had a reading disability. I was really, really short. So I always got teased and bullied. That one day I would be flown to Zurich to hang out with heads of states, and to have an all expenses paid trip to a ski resort, or go to a resort in Lithuania, or go to Saudi Arabia, or hang out at a castle in Ireland. And then lastly, the seventh point is really leaving a legacy. What person do you admire, whether in your local community, at your church, nationally, or global, that are not speakers? Every single person that has left a legacy has been a speaker, where they have this powerful message, especially now in the day and age we live in, social media. It's all about, what legacy can you leave this world, so that you can share your message, your powerful message with the world. And since this is a speaking program and a business related program, it really doesn't matter what business you're in, because every single business needs a marketer. And that's what I do relative to a speaker. When you actually join this specific Done For You package, my goal is to make you a FIFA level speaker, where you're commanding $10,000 minimum per speech, whether you're on stages internationally, TEDx stages, Fortune 100 stages, or sharing these stages with these global leaders. And let me just define what I mean by global leader, global speaker specifically. You have corporate gigs where they pay you upfront. You have speak to sell, where it's more of a, let's say you have a guy named Russell Brunson who goes to Grant Cardone's event and makes $3 million from one speech in 90 minutes. So that's a speak to sell model, where you go somewhere where you might not get paid, but there's people in the room that buy your coaching programs, your consultant services. That's what they call speak to sell. Now, for those of you who say they only want to be a keynote speaker, well, you might want to really reconsider that, because when you're online, I have an online program where we have clients in 120 cities, 30 countries and 6 continents. I never consider myself to be a coach, quote unquote, because I love speaking. I still speak, but online, you can have a group coaching program, and just imagine every single week is like a virtual keynote speech. So if you do it that model, where you both have a hybrid, where you're both doing corporate gigs and speak to sell gigs. I have a client that I worked with recently. In just 2 events that we did the speak to sell model, we closed close to $100,000 worth of business. So keep in mind that online coaching is a very lucrative market, but it's also a great way to impact people on a global scale. And it's very, very scalable. Okay. So that's how we define corporate speaking. When it's all said and done, your credibility comes down to, can you answer this question? Are you invisible, visible, or an expert? Now, hopefully I have your permission to be very blunt. I'm from New York originally, so I'm super blunt. A lot of people come to me saying, Christopher, I want to work with you. And they have this ego where you kind of have to have some level of confidence to want to share your story. But I say, look, let's just Google you. And let's say a guy named Dan. He was very successful, very inspiring story, but Dan didn't exist. I'll say that again. When we Googled Dan's name, first and last name only, he didn't even exist. So you're going to have to put your name, first and last name, into Google as your client does. And you're either going to be invisible, visible, maybe have a few pictures there or some websites there. But if you're not an expert and if you're not perceived as a global expert, you're not going to command the money you want. You're not going to have the stage of inspiration you want. And frankly, again, this is a global speaking program. This is more of a high touch done for you program. So I only want to work with people that are super ambitious, but they have a great heart that want to share their story with the world. A little bit about me. I told you some of the backstory where I was this kid that was always teased, bullied, and punished, but I have been recognized by numerous magazines, whether Inc. magazine, Forbes, Elon Musk once said I knew a lot. If you look at all the credentials that I've done or have been involved with, what I'm most proud of is the one where I haven't read, where I created this homeless youth program at the largest shelter in the country, where we mentor homeless kids. And so again, I want to work with people that are business minded, but have a heart of gold, because this is about service above self. And that's one of the things I'm most proud of doing. I have shared the stages with thousands of thought leaders around the world. I've been speaking for 20 years. I've been coaching for about 5. And again, I love speaking. I don't need to coach, but I love to help people. And in the world we live in now, there's no reason why you shouldn't be online, help people and serving people, whether it's virtual or in-person speeches. This is just one example of an event that I spoke at where there are 12,000 people across 4 days. I'm also billed out currently at $20,000 for a 1-hour speech. Now, I show you this number because when you're on a speaking bureau, you're the top 1% of speakers in the world. There's very few people in the world that can actually be on bureaus. It's like the major leagues, the professional aspect of speaking. Now, sometimes people come to me saying, oh, Christopher, can you just connect me to a bureau? That's what they call them, a fancy word for agents. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. Some of them don't even have a website. Some of them don't have speaking reels. So they think that they're ready for the big time, but frankly, they're not, because there's a very, very, very specific way to market yourself as a speaker. It's not like a car, a restaurant, or a purse from Louis Vuitton. You have to have a very specific way to market yourself. And that's what this Done For You program is for. So when you look at that, my clients pay me that for one speech. If you decide to invest in my program or this specific Done For You package, that'll be your investment around that ballpark for a full 3 to 6 months. Just keep that in mind. So why am I your Steve Jobs? Steve Wozniak, the guy on the left, created the actual programming aspects. He was the brains behind it relative to the actual programs for Apple. And he has openly said that without Steve Jobs, we would not have Apple computers. So I want to be clear on this. You have expertise, you have a passion, you have a story. But if you don't have someone like Steve Jobs, the marketer, the storyteller, the promoter, that's what I do for you, you will not be successful as a speaker. The guy on the right, you may or may not have heard of him. His name is Ronald Wayne. He was actually the third co-founder. He actually created the logo that Apple used. He created the operating manual, and he also created the actual agreement, where at one point he had 10% shares of Apple. But since at the time he was in his 40s, he was more risk adverse. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were in their 20s. He decided to not go into Apple. He said, I'm going to sell my shares back. So he sold his 10% shares back to Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. And had he not sold his shares, he would have been worth over $100 billion. So think about how he might feel, where, just so you know, after you left, Steve Jobs asked him multiple times to come back. So this is just a cautionary tale where if you have the Wozniak brains and the substance and the story and the expertise, if you don't have the storytelling ability of Steve Jobs, which is what I do for you, and if you don't have the courage, you might be that person that might be, as what Ronald Wayne said, a footnote in history just because he met some guy named Steve. Now, what am I actually helping you with? What are you investing in? What do you actually get from working with me in the first 3 months? The website design is the core marketing aspect that I help you with. If you have a website, we do what we call a website makeover, that we've put a speaker tab there, but everything has to gear toward that because, again, the speaker tab and the speaker fee is the highest billable hour. And then Instant Booking Machine, IBM for short, as I'm helping you build your website and getting all these various details from you, it doesn't mean we have to stop. It can be concurrent, where we first assess your network in terms of the people in your network. I give you the actual sales script to help you create them. So from PET stands for phone, email, and text. So I help you literally craft the actual email so that when you're getting these incoming inquiries for being on a podcast or a speaking reel or whatever it might be, I help you with that. So the most basic thing you need before the website is really a new and improved bio, your speech topic, and an email that you send to them. Because every single interaction you have right now, you're missing out on a potential opportunity for a speaking opportunity if you don't have the right thing to say, and if you don't have the right people to say it to, but most importantly, how to say that. So the first 3 months is really helping you book speeches as quickly as possible and creating this website, because that's essentially the done for you thing, the done for you aspect. Now, from the 4th to 6th months, some of my clients choose to continue working with me, where I really help you understand the basics, the advanced aspects of speaking. Now, if you choose to only work with me for 3 months, I'll still pepper in a bunch of those things on improving your speaking skills now. In terms of the actual website, there are very, very, very specific categories. Like I said, when you walk into a Louis Vuitton, you can look at a purse. If you go to like Hugo Boss and you look at a shirt, but those are physical, tangible objects. But in this world, as a speaker, you have to be really clear on all these various 10 categories. Now, sometimes when I see someone that sees this, they're like, okay, I already have those things. You might have some of these things, but do you have it at the level that you want? And I'll be very specific in what I mean by that. I'll give you 3 very specific examples about the level. Again, you're a speaker. If you want to be a global speaker, there are very specific things. So let's say this one client, there are 3 elements that I helped her with in her website that she already had existing: the testimonials, the photos, and the video. Just from picking those 3 things to finalize, my team and I had to go through 20 videos, 60 photos, and 20 testimonials. And even though she had testimonials, I had to rewrite them, and so that they're really premium and solid. Now, when you look at a testimonial, for instance, I hear it all the time. Oh, Christopher, I have testimonials. Okay, well, are the testimonials from high-level people? Are they executives? Is it a testimonial that just wows them? Are they what I call mouth-watering? This is an actual testimonial that I got when I spoke in Zurich, Switzerland, or sharing the stage with the president of Switzerland. Alex reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, you know what? If you were the only person there, I would have loved it. And that was more of a TED Talk style speech. So I spoke for about 10 minutes. I went back to the organizers on the right-hand side and I said, hey, how many speakers were there? They said 167. I went back to Alex and said, hey, Alex, would you mind if I share this testimonial? At the core, the substance is the same, but if you notice it on the right-hand side, that's like a Tiffany style packaging. If you don't have testimonials like that, how can you compete against other speakers who, let's say one of my clients is a 2-star general from the US Army. Another one of my clients is a world-renowned athlete who has traveled all around the world and has performed in front of millions of people, including with Paul McCartney and Britney Spears. So the higher up caliber your testimonials are, the higher up fees you'll get, the higher up status you have, the higher stages you have on. But look how simple this is. Very few people can look at this testimonial and craft it in a way where on the left, it's like a 2, on the right, it's a perfect 10. So keep in mind that every single word, phrase, video, detail, this is why it's so specific. This is an example of a bio. This is one of my clients that hired me to speak at a castle. Now we're business partners. And this is a good personal statement where she's a power connector, believes in the future. But frankly, it's not as high level as I saw her as and who she can become. This is a bio that I wrote for her, where from the very get-go, you already know that she's a founder and CEO, and she's a global pioneer. That's the first sentence. And then it talks about how she creates these masterminds. She's helped over 6,000 entrepreneurs. And then we end off by always adding nonprofit stuff, because every high-level person I've ever met in my life always works and does nonprofit. If you only have business, but you're not giving back, that doesn't really convey that you're a global figure. But even a word like curates bespoke charity events. Her mother asked her, what does that even mean, bespoke? But again, this is about the high class perception that you want to be perceived as. And that's just one example of bios that I wrote for my private clients. Now, as I said, first, second, third month, it's all about your website and all those 10 marketing gems that I help you with. And I also help you field any specific inquiries now if people are asking you to speak. Fourth to sixth month, this is the stuff that we dial into relative to really how do you master speaking. Now, again, first 3 months, I do help you with some of these things, but that's why oftentimes my clients after the 3 months, I help them with more the actual presentation skills. It takes so much time to do a lot of things, but I'm just letting you know how much foundational elements you need to really communicate with confidence. Let me share some specific examples of private clients I've worked with. Myron on the left-hand side. I don't know if you feel this way. You have this drive in yourself to share your story. You know that you have this powerful message. People tell you all the time. Well, guess what? Myron wanted to do this for 10 years. He wanted to be a speaker for 10 years. He's in the executive world of real estate. If you have a company and you'll say, I'll do it next year, I'll do it. I mean, look, we all know that we're not going to be here forever. My parents unfortunately passed away recently. So I know that time is finite. We all know this. But in Myron's case, 10 years, he wanted to be a speaker. Within 1 month of working with me, he booked 4 speeches. Keith is a seasoned entrepreneur. He's built 50 companies in 30 years. He's raised $500 million. And this guy has been involved with over $2 billion in transactions. Even though he's more of a seasoned executive, he's already a multimillionaire, but he wanted, again, share his story on a bigger stage. He booked over 20 speeches in 1 year. We helped him become a #1 bestseller on Amazon. We helped him get on various speaking bureaus. I helped him with his website. Ashley, her last employer, she helped make $2 billion. She's a sales expert. Her single thing was she wanted to really build her brand as a global sales expert, and she wanted to get on a TEDx talk stage. We helped her get on a TEDx talk stage. So these are just 3 examples of 3 individuals. Some of them wanted to really build up their brand globally. Some of them wanted to make a lot of money. Some of them already made a lot of money, but they wanted to have more of a global brand as a speaker. And really, why are you speaking? Why are you interested in speaking if you don't want to have that heart of service in your mind? I have no interest in just working with people that want to make money. I have an interest that people want to make money, that really want to give back and share your expertise, your story, and your inspirational story with the world. This is just one example of one testimonial. You can easily go to YouTube and see 30, 40, 50 examples of coaching testimonials. You can also see 30 plus examples of keynote speaking testimonials, whether from billionaires like John Paul DeJoria or world-class athletes like Diana Nyad. But again, seeing is believing. This is just one testimonial that represents hundreds of them, where it just precisely and concisely shares how I was able to help this woman. And she's like, absolutely no hesitation. When I was on a phone conversation with her, she's like, you know what, Christopher, never in a million years. But if you look how specific she is, superb guide, incredibly insightful, perfectly tailored content. This is why it's a done for you program, done for you package. It's about breaking down and demystifying the speaking world. I'm in my 40s now. I've been doing this for 20 plus years on a global scale. And I wouldn't even consider doing coaching, frankly, until 5 years ago. People kept asking me over and over. The thing I want you to really key in on is also lightning efficiency. I don't want to waste your time. You're a busy man or woman. You have a gift, you have a story, but do you want to turn that gift into a global platform so you can really inspire the world with your story? Imagine your husband or your wife, imagine your kids seeing you on stage and seeing that powerful message you have to share. Though you have that message, if you don't have something like, again, Steve Jobs, I understand the dynamics of the persuasion from a science standpoint, from the storytelling standpoint. I learned it from American Express. You're not going to, unfortunately, share that story. And I want to ask you, do you really want to spend 20 years? That's how long it took me to go from $50 to $30,000. And this is just for, again, a keynote speaking fee, right? But the first 14 years, I was just chugging along. And it's not a coincidence that I started skyrocketing 14 years later because I understood the global branding, first-class credibility of how to systematically and concisely share those 10 specific marketing points. It doesn't matter whether you're just starting your speaking career at 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, or in my case, 20 years later, I'm still building out my speaking career. I'm still building out the various aspects of my website because I'm always learning and always growing. So in terms of your time commitment, again, this is done for you. You commit 3 to 5 hours each month. We welcome call. We have 2 strategy calls every month. You fill out a survey where I understand who you are, what you do, what you've been doing for the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Gather up all the stuff, and I help you create your website. Either if you have a website, we redo it, we create a new one from scratch based on a template, and then you get to sit back and we do the work for you. This is just a very select group of clientele that I've worked with. I mean, when I was at American Express, I was shocked that this vice chairman at the time, I wrote a speech for him, and he's like, for your convenience, I wrote this speech for you, and he actually read it verbatim. Since then, 2 to 8, those are all very recent clients where I've really helped a very large breadth of individual, whether in politics, from a royal standpoint, or just very successful business executives. So this is your investment. 3-month package, though I do recommend a 4th month, highly recommended, because again, the first 3 months, it's all about getting you up to speed as quickly as possible. If you get inquiries coming right now, every single interaction, whether they ask me for a podcast, an article, a photo op, any invitation, every single one of those interactions can be a potential speaking opportunity if you have the right script, the right know-how, and the right strategy for that. But you will get a website within 3 months. Okay. So you brand yourself as a speaker, you have the speaker topics, you have the speaker pitch, you have the videos, at least editing wise. I don't do the actual video for you. These are all those various things. The market research and comparable research, the comparable speaker, we're not just creating some random thing for you. This is done for you customized, where I have to do a lot of research to figure out where is your market, who are your competitors. And after that, then we do it. And then the Networking with Giants, the reason why I was able to skyrocket after 14 years was I wrote this book about networking with billionaires. And it's not a coincidence that the event that I met my $30,000 speaking gig was at an Atlanta, Georgia global event where President Clinton has spoken at, where the CEO of Delta was speaking at. So what I tell you is just a macro understanding of the global world, and then you decide what platform you want to share on. And the investment is quite low relative to what I offer. I'm billing at $20,000 for 1 hour. You're paying $5,000 for 1 month, or $15,000 for 3 months, or $20,000 for 4 months, but you're literally getting four months, 5 months, 6 months of my time and talent and expertise, where someone else pays me that for a 1 hour speech. So just letting you know the context of the caliber of the work I've done. And generally speaking, people start with the $5,000 one, where we just work on their website for the first 3 months. Sometimes people want to just do both concurrently, where I help them with their building out their deck or pitching them for a TEDx talk while I'm building out the website, because I have a team for this. So that might be $10,000 a month. But generally, again, people start $5,000 a month, do that for 3 months every month. I do always encourage the 4th month, because on the 4th month, you'll have gotten a much more thorough understanding of your website, your speech topics. And we build it from scratch, by the way. Okay. You can be starting from 0, which one of my clients did, or might be you already have a brand. But again, from a speaker standpoint, when I get people saying, well, Christopher, I have a PR firm or marketing firm, I'm like, okay, well, have they worked with a global speaker that bills out at $20,000? And say, no. Have they worked with someone that's shared the stage with the heads of states like Bill Clinton or Richard Branson? No. So again, you can't have someone help you build a global brand as a speaker if they're not even at that level. So just to be clear, I'm not discounting any of your marketing or PR. I don't discount any of that, but I know what I know about myself, that if you do not if you're not perceived as an expert on Google, then you're not going to get the price points you deserve. And most important, you're not going to have the stage that you want to be on. So as a recap, again, the first 3 months, it's all about how can I help you book speeches immediately right now with a very specific script. So any lead you get in now, I help you craft that script, because every single interaction is a potential new speech. Secondly, what you're paying for really is this website done makeover, where your story, your speech topics, your client list, your testimonials, I help you draft the testimonials, picking the photos, editing some of your videos if you have, publications that maybe you have or have not, LinkedIn profile. I can't stress that more. So many people I meet that are executives, they have the most horrible LinkedIn profile. It makes them look like an amateur, frankly. And again, the website should capture all that beauty and brilliance. Some of my clients choose to work with me after 3 months. If they don't, they still get elements of understanding how to communicate well. But if they want to broaden out that, then I help them create the actual speaker deck and help them deliver that. Now, some of my clients actually go literally the 4th to 6th months. They just do that in the 1st to 3rd month. What I mean by that is they might not care about the website or the booking speeches. They want to only work upon the TEDx talk. And so that alone would literally be helping them build out the presentation, pitching them for the TEDx talk. And so that's a different package. But again, those are the core things, almost like It's essentially just these are the things that I help you with. So again, $50,000 value you're getting for just $4,997. If you have any questions, happy to answer them. Again, this might not be a fit for everyone, but for those who really have a heart to really serve, just remember, do you want to spend 20 years figuring this stuff out? Add 20 years to whatever age you are. Think about Myron. He wanted to do it for 10 years and he didn't. Imagine the amount of people you will inspire. Imagine your family that will be inspired. Imagine your family, your mom, your dad, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your kids sitting in the audience and seeing you on stage. And how powerful will that be for you to inspire the world with your story? Here to help, here to serve, and happy to answer your questions. Have a great day.